So I was recording for about like 5 minutes before before I realized I wasn't recording. So anyways, the before video tangent was that I haven't recorded a video in months because I scaled the video wrong in OBS and had to scratch the whole thing, even though I was so funny throughout the whole video. But because the video was bad, I can't upload it as content, and instead it will be bonus features for an upcoming big video. That was a perfectly timed accidental toggle. So anyways, that scrapped content will come in an unlisted video later down the line. Anyways, the other before video tangent was that I like Trader Joe's and my mic is resting on a can of Jingle Jangle, which is chocolate dipped sweets and snacks and tasty things. And it seems like a store for just like wine moms. But no, it's better than that. You can get salmon for cheap and other things for cheap, but you have to go into the bad part of town if you want to go to Trader Joe's, because they never put Trader Joe's in the good part of town. And by the good part of town, I just mean the part that's closest to me. Anyways, so the main topic of today is I just papped my drawing tablets, because whenever I was a kid, I watched so many Lavender Town videos. Lavender Town with an E if you want to look her up, because something tells me the viewers of this channel might not watch Lavender Town regularly. So she's worth looking up because she's actually the inspiration for me making this VTuber model, because she made a VTuber model and a video about it, and it looked so easy. And if you know how to draw, it's actually really easy to do. And so I did it, and I used her video as a tutorial. But anyways, that's not the point of the video. Whenever I was a kid, I wanted to be an art school kid like her so bad. And I watched all her videos trying to like figure out how can I be an art school kid. If I follow all of the information in her videos, I'll be an art school kid. But newsflash, that's expensive, and that's not reasonable. And after looking at the cards in my hand, that it wasn't in the cards. So I ended up just being an art major at a normal university, which is cheaper, it's easier, it's better in the long run, it's just as good as going to art school, except maybe there's a couple niche classes and niche topics that you won't learn. But otherwise, it's just as good. I do plan on making a video about that once I am officially graduated, but that's besides the point. And you're gonna hear me mention many topics that are on the to-do list today. Sorry in advance. Comment down below which is your favorite exciting future video topic. Anyways, I just papped my drawing tablet. I do a lot of hand gestures that you can't see because of the limitations of VTuber models and tracking. So I'm just going to talk about drawing tablets today, because as a kid, I wanted the big old 30... God himself doesn't want me to make this video for some reason. I've had to start recording about like 4 times. I just spilled my drink onto my Mac keyboard, but because they are built Ford tough, it survived. Take that, God. My fizzy drink will not take down my keyboard. Anyways, I have no clue what I was talking about before I got cut off, but as a kid, I thought about what kind of keyboards that I would... Note to the editor, cut that part out. As a kid, I wanted a drawing tablet so bad. And I didn't have one for the longest time because for most Zoomers, drawing tablets weren't super common. Like, Gen Alpha kids are absolutely cracked. They have iPads from birth, so they learn how to draw on digital drawing programs a lot earlier than us Zoomers did. And because of that, they become better artists earlier on. But for me, I started out with pen and paper and then moved to Autodesk Sketchbook on my phone. And so with this video, I'm just going to kind of break down the different types of drawing tablets and which are better, which are worse, the pros and cons, and all the other info. And I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make an unscripted video that was very a la 𝓼𝓲𝓵𝓵𝓵 because I watched so much of her videos growing up, and I figured it would be a nice way to ease myself back into making videos since I've done a whole lot of not recording content. I scripted a lot of it and I recorded none of it. So this is just me easing myself back into that kind of workflow. Just kind of getting a feel for the ropes again and just making some fun, easy content while I'm at it. And so on that note, hopefully we won't have to start recording again. On to the video. So the first type of drawing hardware that we're going to talk about today is the good old, you know it, you hate it, drawing on the phone. So nowadays, I think that's definitely one of the biggest fish in the drawing hardware ocean, is drawing on the phone. Ibis Paint, Medibang, I think is on the phone. Autodesk Sketchbook. Always been one of the bigger fish, but always one of my favorites. Whenever I was a kid, that's how I got started in digital art. Before I had a drawing tablet, I did a whole lot of Autodesk Sketchbook, drawing with my finger onto my iPhone 5S screen. I don't want to bring up my age on this channel, but hopefully that doesn't date me too bad. My tiny little 3-inch wide, if that, iPhone 5S screen. It was as bad as it sounds. It was horrible. I hated it. I think I survived about 2 years before I just gave up and begged my parents, I need something better than that. And luckily they did, but that's a different part of the video. That is part 2 of the video. We are in part 1. Drawing on the phone, bad. Thumbs down. You can't see it because of my VTuber model, but I'm giving a big thumbs down. It is horrible. I would not recommend it. If you're watching this video and thinking, what drawing tablet should I get? Not that one. Don't get that one. It's not worth it. You need to upgrade as soon as possible. To be honest, if you want my expert opinion, it's a better use of your time to just pull out the good old pencil and paper instead of just drawing with your finger on the phone, because the canvas is too small and you'll build a lot of bad habits. The biggest help that I got whenever I was in my drawing classes in college was to use your whole arm to draw. Like, you'll feel inclined inclined to do small, like, wrist movements whenever you're drawing, but if you use your whole arm on a big canvas, then you'll get much more fluid strokes than by using small movements with your fingers or your wrist. And the iPhone, drawing on the iPhone, like, reinforces those habits of doing small, particular movements instead of large flowing ones. So because of that, the iPhone gets a thumbs down from me. And also, usually with cheaper phones, you won't be able to do many layers, or it'll be super laggy. And with iPhones, they're super expensive. So you'll probably want to end up somewhere in the middle. And regardless of what option you choose, that's not going to be a drawing device. And so, again, thumbs down. Next part of the video. So later in the video, I think I say something about it, but I'm gonna put a little bit of art from each of these mediums so that way you can like see what I did with each one because like I said at some point in the video, I have used each of these types of drawing tablets at some point in my life. So I figured that it would only be fair if I show you what I did myself with each one of these, so you know that I'm not just talking out of my ass. Albeit some of these are ridiculously old, but I think you get the point. Now that we're in the next part of the video, we're going to talk about tablet type devices. This encompasses anything that has a CPU, onboard storage, RAM, etc. So like think iPads and stuff like that. So this was my first true honest to God foray into drawing tablets. I started off with the entry level Microsoft Surface. And for the more knowledgeable people in the audience, you'll know entry level Surface equals bad. I had like maybe 4 gigs of RAM. It was super laggy, super gross, but it was the best that I had at the time, and I think I made the most of what I have. Maybe if I'm brave enough, I'll throw some of those drawings up on screen. Maybe I'll do that for each of these sections. I'll show what I made start to finish with each of these devices that I mentioned. So the Microsoft Surface 3 was the one that I started with. And as of today, I have the 5th generation, and that is my go-to Windows device, because for those who couldn't tell, I am a Mac user these days. And my Windows device is usually the Surface 5th generation, simply because it's portable. And honestly, spoiler alert, I give it a thumbs up because it's a tablet and it's a laptop all in one. But as far as drawing capabilities go, I would give it a tentative thumbs in the middle pointing towards down. And here's why. Because the entry level model is super laggy, like I said, and the pen registration isn't very good. It feels like there's a slight lag on it whenever you draw a line, and it's also not super accurate. So if you end up with the Surface, then it's gonna be a good device, albeit a very fragile one. I broke one very easily because I had it in my bag and I dropped the bag and it cracked. And due to the technology, if the screen cracks, then the touch input is gone and you can only use the pen, which was super duper cringe. That's bad. iPads, you can crack them and it'll still register touch input. But that's later in the section. Let's not talk about that now. Anyways, so if you end up with the Surface, it's a good device. But if you're gonna go out of your way to buy one, I would say maybe pass for now. And instead, put your money towards an iPad plus a dedicated laptop. Because the higher end models are just like way overpriced. Like I'll put it on screen what the going price for one nowadays is. But back whenever I was on the market for one, it was like at least $1,200 for a good model. For an entry level model, it was still like $800 new. If you're gonna go for like an older model, maybe like $500. But the point is, mad overpriced for what you get. Laggy pen input, kind of shoddy touch input, and just bad RAM. And if you want the good RAM, then you're gonna have to pay way more. And at that point, you might as well just jump ship and get a MacBook. Because a MacBook for the same price usually just would be way less laggy. Okay, so I know I keep putting these like horrible audio quality intermissions in the video, but I did want to like append into the video around this point that I own a MacBook Air. And the reason that I do is because I got a ridiculously, suspiciously good deal off of Mercari. I think I got mine for like 850, 900 bucks. And I think it was like a 2019 or 2020 model that I got over in like 2022. So it was relatively recent. And I just want to throw this into the video that if you go onto secondhand websites, you can get ridiculously good deals. The Surface Pro 5th gen that I was talking about in this part of the video was bought off of eBay. And it's a little suspicious. You may wonder how did they get this device for such a good price, but honestly, as a consumer, you take what you can get. Beggars can't be choosers, am I right? Um, we brokies are in this together. Go get your good devices at a decent price. Please never pay full price. I'm begging you. Even if it's just like a couple dollars off on Amazon, just I beg you, please don't overpay for electronics. Don't go to Best Buy. Don't pay full MSRP. Unless maybe it's through the Apple website because you get like a good warranty and stuff and free engraving if you go through that, but that's about it. Like other than that, no exceptions. Always make sure you get a good deal, please. Thank you. All right, that's it. Goodbye. Anyways, uh, also in this category is Android tablets. Android tablets, I can't really give you too much info here besides what I've experienced myself. So, a cheap Android tablet, if you didn't know, your mileage will vary very vastly depending on who's the manufacturer of your tablet and the price point. And the reason I categorize those two separately is that you can get like a super cheap Amazon Fire tablet, and it'll treat you pretty well for the price point. But then you might get like a no-name AliExpress tablet that's just like the most genuine piece of shit e-waste tablet that you've ever seen in your whole life. And it will lag on the lock screen. Oh, I've had some very bad experiences with Android, if you couldn't tell. I have no faith in Android at all whatsoever, and I think you shouldn't buy an Android tablet at all unless it's like a Samsung flagship model. Just any Android product at all. If it's not Samsung and it's not a flagship model for like 900 plus, don't buy it. For the love of God, don't buy it. That could be a video in and of itself, me and bad Android products. There's a reason that I'm a Mac user these days. No, that's inaccurate. An Apple user these days. And that could be a video in and of itself, me and bad Android, Windows, etc. I've had some bad experiences with cheap electronics that pushed me into the lifestyle that I'm living right now. Anyways, on to part 3. Wait, no, we're not in part 3 yet. We haven't discussed Apple iPads yet. So, Apple iPads. Your mileage will also vary in this category, but not so much. So if you get an Apple iPad Pro, it will be overpriced, but I feel like you will see the benefits of spending that much on a device. Because iPad Pros have a lot of storage space, which means that if you use Procreate, you can get that much more layers. You can get so many layers, and you also won't get as much lagging. And you'll probably also end up with a lot more reliable Apple. Why do I keep sticking Apple in front of it? You will get that much more reliability with your Apple Pencil. And I have a lot of troubles with Apple Pencils with my iPad, but it's also because it's a demo model. So my iPad is a demo model that I got from a job that I used to have, And at work one day, I noticed that we were able to sell the floor model. So I got permission from the manager to buy it. So I got that with an Apple Pencil using my employee discount because the Apple Pencil was not a floor model and I didn't get it for cheap, but I did get it for a slight discount. It was better than nothing. And at the time, I was stuck with an entry-level Surface model that I rambled about earlier. Anyways, so I got my demo model iPad, and it has like 32 gigs of storage, and for the age and for the life that it's lived, it's done me very well. I would say that it's a very solid device. The only problem I've run into is storage because I like rhythm games, okay? So I like to install those 10 gigabyte gotcha D4DJ type games, and I play them on my iPad, and I know I'm scum, I'm cringe, whatever, who cares? Anyways, I've run out of storage space on that thing, and I can't install the newest iOS, so after seeing the whole Trump tariff tax thing, I'm starting to think that I might have to upgrade sooner rather than later. But if it weren't for that, I would say just invest in whatever the best option is. Whatever Amazon calls its top pick. I think that would be a good choice for a device. There was a Linus Tech Tips video about maybe like a week after, like, before recording this video, and it was titled something like "My mom needs a new tablet, what do I do?" I would suggest you watch that video and look at your options, because there's some good contenders on the market, but he does recommend a pretty good Apple iPad. Why do we keep saying Apple? It's a damn iPad. It is an iPad. And he recommended like the 10th gen one. The one that I have is the 9th gen. If you can get the 9th gen with more than 32 gigs of storage, then that's probably a good option. But the one that he recommends is the 10th gen. The only downside is that you would need the adapter to charge the Apple Pencil. And after a lot of drawing, I could see that being really annoying. So I'd say either go big or go home. Either get the 9th gen with 64 gigs of storage, or get the newest, greatest iPad Pro. I'm hoping that I can get an iPad Pro. I'm starting to think about how I can maybe diversify my side hustles, do more commissions, and save up for one of those before the prices skyrocket if the whole tariff thing goes through. Because I have thought about getting one of those, and I'll explain that probably in the last section of this video, whenever I discuss screen tablets as a whole. And with that being said, on to the next part of the video. Why do I always do that awkward little head tilt with a smile? Anyways, so part 3 of this video is non-screen tablets. And that the most iconic contender in this section is the Wacom Intuos, which is the first one I will be discussing because I will only discuss ones that I have experience with in this part of the video. The Wacom Intuos is just an awkward little 5-inch wide non-screen tablet. And part 3, non-display tablets. So, non-display tablets is kind of an all-encompassing term for anything that is very USB and very black and very non-LED. So, I would say the most iconic contender in this category is the Wacom Intuos, which is one that I have a lot of experience with for unfortunate reasons. That has become my go-to on-the-go drawing tablet as a whole, because the one that I have is Bluetooth, and it's a very reliable device. I would say that if you're an artist, it is the bang for your buck item that you can get. Whenever I got mine, I think it was like maybe like $20 on Amazon, and that was for the Bluetooth model in pistachio green. I love that thing to bits. The only reason that I have fallen out of love with it a little bit is that I threw it into my bag without thinking one day and it got a little scratched. And so now the surface is a little bit rough to draw on, but as a whole, it's still a very reliable, very good item that I own. And it's good because you can plug it in USB or you can Bluetooth it. If you're gonna get a wireless non-display drawing tablet, you have to get the Bluetooth one, because the Bluetooth one, if you're on the go a lot, it has no wires involved, which means that you can just Bluetooth it anytime, anywhere. I've used it everywhere, in the car, at the airport, at my parents' house, at my own house, at school. It's just a lot nicer that you don't have to worry about the USB wire. I have another one that I'll discuss in a bit, but it has the USB wire, so it's just a little bit more annoying because of it. But the main plus for this category is that it's a lot cheaper than everything else that I've mentioned. iPhones, expensive. iPad, expensive. Display tablet, expensive. Anything with an LCD panel is gonna break the bank, if I'm being completely honest. But the little baby Wacom Intuos, super duper cheap, especially if you go secondhand. I imagine it would be like infinitely cheaper if you go secondhand. But it's already so cheap that you might as well just go to your local Best Buy and just buy one there. And it does come with like included software, but if I'm being honest, I don't really care, because at the time I was using 𝓼𝓲𝓵𝓵𝓂, which I got it pirated, and then I upgraded to Clip Studio Paint, which I got on a Black Friday sale. And then I went to Adobe Photoshop, which I had to get because of school. So regardless of the software I was using, I was always like either paying for it or it was completely free. I never had to use the included software. So don't let that like persuade you into buying one model or the other, because it's ultimately very inconsequential in the long run. Because having a free trial for a year or having a limited version of a big software isn't gonna get you super far. So I would just say ignore that completely. And more about the little baby boy drawing tablet, super cheap, $20, Intuos, Wacom. I drew this model on one. I sketched it out in Procreate, and then I lined and colored it in Clip Studio Paint using the little wire drawing tablet. Take that as you will. You can do whatever you want with a non-screen tablet. My teacher says that it's better for your wrist, which I will discuss in the last part of this video whenever I discuss big screen drawing tablets. You can't see it because of VTuber models, but I just gestured towards my large screen drawing tablet. Anyways, I just got an XP Pen tablet for Christmas, and it does not have Bluetooth, which is kind of a minus in my book, but I would say that it's pretty good. It's on par with the Wacom in terms of drawing capabilities. It comes with a lot more nibs, but you cannot screw off the pen to store the nibs, which is a big minus. It's not Bluetooth. That's about it, to be honest. It doesn't, you can't see it, but I just shrugged. But it doesn't really matter what brand you go with in terms of non-screen tablets. What ultimately matters is whether or not you want Bluetooth, but otherwise they all kind of draw the same and each brand offers multiple sizes, and they're all relatively cheap. I know Huion has a super cute pink one that I would have bought a long time ago if I don't already own 2 non-screen tablets, but I do. So I have no use to buy the super cute pink one. Buy it in my honor, I guess. Huion, sponsor me. I would not mind that. I know pavlov is an up-and-coming drawing tablet brand. They have some super cute ones, super cute colors, a lot of nice accessories. I might look into them in the future in terms of accessories, but all of my tablets are either Wacom or Huion. The XP one I don't really use super often. It's more of a backup tablet because I do already have the Wacom Bluetooth model that I use whenever I go to school. I can't really think of much more I have to say on non-screen tablets. So on to the last, probably biggest section, display tablets. So, it's time to address the elephant in the room, and part of the reason that I made this video is display tablets. So, part of the reason that I made this video was because when I was a kid, I thought the end-all be-all of art was to get a big ol' Wacom Cintiq tablet, 30 inches, ginormous, completely overkill, but it would be fun to have one. And going to school with a place that has a lot of Cintiqs, and after getting a Huion of my own, I thought it would be good to talk about it for just a second and make some content out of it, because there are some downgrades that I don't think are talked about enough. And one of those downgrades that I don't feel like are talked about enough is it being good or not for your wrist. This is something that I did not realize was even something to consider until maybe 4-5 months into owning it, is I noticed my wrist really started to hurt. And I thought maybe it was because I was mousing too much whenever working on projects for school. I was just like, alright, I'm grabbing this Apple Magic Mouse 4 or 5 hours of the day. Maybe that's bad for my wrist, maybe. And after a while, I was just like, alright, my wrist is really starting to hurt. Is this gonna be bad for my long-term career? And towards the end of the semester, whenever it was far beyond too late, my professor mentioned, hey, I noticed you're using that little Bluetooth Wacom tablet. That's good. Wacom screenless tablets, good, because they sit on your desk and you can draw on them like paper. I was just like, oh, okay, why do you like it so much? What's wrong with the big screen tablets? And he was just like, yeah, they're bad for your wrist. If you use them too long, you will definitely, absolutely, no doubt, will get, absolutely certainly, carpal tunnel. And I was like, huh? He was very, very clear about it. Big screen tablet, bad. And I was like, oh. Because I just spent a lot of money on the one that I just got. And he was just like, yeah, a lot of industry professionals like to use the screenless tablets because they can look up at the screen while their hand is down on the desk in a more natural position. I was like, alright, go on. And he just kind of went on a ramble. He's kind of more of a Wacom shill than anything. But he did seem to be very against screen tablets, and it kind of makes sense looking back, because during those weeks that I was using the screen tablet a lot more than the wireless portable tablet, my hand really hurt. And I think it was because of the angle that it was at, which is kind of interesting, and I think it's worth considering if you're planning on getting a big, ginormous overkill tablet. if you're getting one of the ones that are 24 inches plus and have to sit on their little stand, you might want to consider that it might cause some hand problems in the long run. Because during that semester, I ended up getting both an ergonomic mouse and a compression glove, because I was scared that I was going to get permanent, irreversible hand damage. As it turns out, over the winter break, my hand did go back to normal. So I think it was like more of a temporary thing than anything, but I could see it causing long-term damage if you overwork yourself. So please do keep that in mind. And also, the elephant in the room, the price. The one that I got was a Huion tablet, and it was both clearance and refurbished, and I think I also found a coupon code probably. So I got mine for relatively cheap, I think around like $900. It's like a canvas 24-inch. I think it was the Pro, but it wasn't the 4K. So I got it for super cheap. And for this model in particular, the only problem that it's given me so far is that the colors is kind of bad. I don't know, it just seems a little bit too cool toned. That's not an issue for me because, like I mentioned earlier, I am a Mac user. So I can just drag the window from one screen to the other, and I could check the colors that way. But if that was my main display, I could see that causing problems. And I do know people who will use a screen tablet as their main display, which I think is bad. You should always have at least like one good reliable monitor to base most things off of. I used to have like a $60 HP monitor, and it was like the Amazon top choice cheapest option, and the colors were decent, and I think it was fine. I didn't notice a lot of ghosting, which I do notice on the Huion, and it did everything I asked of it. The only thing that it didn't have was a built-in speaker, which would be nice, but it is what it is. I just connected a cheap $5 speaker to it, and I'll put it on screen. It was a very good device for the time that I used it. I don't use it much these days because I do have the all-in-one iMac, which has the speaker and good colors and CPU, etc., etc., etc. So it's all up to what you need as an artist in terms of PC. But in terms of drawing tablets, we'll yap about that just a little bit more. For most drawing tablets, they are, for the most part, overpriced. I think there isn't much of a difference between the Wacom's and the Huions. I've used the Wacom's at school, like the big ol' ginormous 30-inch behemoths, and it's just a big drawing tablet with a stand, to be honest. And the smaller ones, they're just a small drawing tablet with a stand. You don't get much more or less between brands in terms of screen tablets. Like, you can look into the specifics of like refresh rate, resolution, the pressure sensitivity, but most of them are on par with each other. And I think that if you get too caught in the weeds between them, then you'll get caught in the weeds. Like, you'll get focused up on the things that don't matter. Because, yes, the refresh rate on the Huion isn't good. The color tones isn't good. But because I do have the separate, reliable monitor, that doesn't end up being a big thing. And you shouldn't rely on a drawing tablet as your main monitor. You should rely on it as something that you can draw onto. Like, you can sketch onto it. And the colors, you should have multiple devices to cross-reference. Because if you're that worried about colors, you should have multiple devices that you can look at your art on. Like, check it on your phone, check it on your iPad, check it on your TV. Like, if you're that worried about colors, you should know how it looks on every device, because who knows what your client is going to be viewing it on. They could be looking at it on the Samsung J7, the worst phone known to man. I would know. I had it for like 2 years. It was horrible. Or they could be looking at on it on the $10 iPad. Who knows? Like, just check it on every device that you can find in your house. But you shouldn't rely on just the device that you're drawing onto. Otherwise, like, it just might not turn out how you want it to. Like, I would know, because I had my Surface, it used to be set up with the colors on like HDR, sRGB, contrast cranked up beyond belief. And I would look on my phone, I'll be like, why is it so desaturated? I thought my monitor was good. And it turns out it was almost too good. Like, on most devices, it would end up being way desaturated. So I had to accommodate for that. And on my, you couldn't see it, but I just papped my big old drawing tablet. The colors are way too cool on that. So I might cross-reference it on my iPhone to see how it looks on there. So it's all about, in my opinion, I think the bottom line is you should get something that is the best bang for your buck. If I were to leave you, the viewer, with one thing, it would either to be to get a cheap USB display tablet or to get a cheap USB non-screen drawing tablet. Like the Wacom Intuos Bluetooth. That is my number one pick, if I'm being completely honest. Because the drawing tablet with the screen on it is very good. If you can get a cheap display tablet from Huion, then I would say go for it. But you should also have the cheap Bluetooth one for on-the-road use. Because iPads are good, but they do age relatively quickly. Bluetooth Wacom you can take from one device to the next. Like, you could upgrade your Windows, upgrade your Mac, upgrade whatever it is that you're running it on, and you'll get years of use out of it. An iPad, in my opinion, ages a little too quickly. If you have the money to splurge, then go for it. But I know my viewers, and you're probably worried about the cost, so go for a cheap non-display tablet, or a cheap display tablet if you just got a winter Christmas bonus. I don't know. But yeah, that's about most of my rant, I would say. Just, if you're an artist, check your art on as many devices as possible and get a device that suits your needs. I hope this video, very unscripted, helped you a little bit. I don't like making unscripted videos because I feel like I ramble in too many directions at once and I stumble over my words or lose my train of thought quickly. But if for some reason you're into that, comment down below. If you're not into that, then let me know so I can make sure I don't make more of these. Because, spoiler alert, one video on my to-do list is an unscripted how to 3D model video, and if you guys are not into unscripted videos, then I would like to know sooner rather than later so I can make sure I don't make that video. Anyways, I have more videos in the oven, and I will see you in those videos. Good night, my please. Sleep tight, eat right, and don't let the bed bugs bite.
Hey kid, do you want a wiener in your